Hello everyone, welcome to Manifesting the Miraculous, and I am your host Aurelia from Aurelia's Light, and I'm so happy to have you here for another episode. Tonight we're going to be delving into the work of Stuart Wilde, and Stuart Wilde has been one of my favorite and first teachers when I started my awakening or remembering process many years ago. A little bit about Stuart. Stuart Wilde was an English author and lecturer and considered one of the real characters of the self-help and human potential movement. The late Stuart Wilde had a style that was humorous and controversial and poignant and transformational. I believe that he was one of the best metaphysical teachers I have actually encountered. I found that he took the approach of just being a human in this divine knowing, and he was able to, with humor and a little sarcasm, able to just really get to the point and describe the journey so perfectly. And he has written 13 books, and that was made up in his successful Taoist quintet, which is considered classics in their genre. He also was dear friends with Wayne Dyer, and I believe some of Wayne Dyer learned some of his knowledge from Stuart Wilde as well. So without further ado, I'm going to be reading a chapter of The Force, The Whispering Winds of Change by Stuart Wilde. Understanding the Force. The Force is universal, which means that it is in everything. It also is endless. It stretches out not only to eternity behind you, but infinitely into the future. The Force is also all-knowing, because beings in all things, it knows from its own experience. Your life's goal is to expand the Force within you so that you can perceive beyond what you know now. First, you have to recognize that the Force is within you. Next, you have to acknowledge yourself as God, as part of the living spirit within. No matter what you are physically, what imbalances you might suffer, what situations you have created, you are still a part of the Force. If you recognize that and accept your intrinsic goodness or holiness, then the Force within you will magnify, because you are concentrating it, and you accept being a part of it. You might like to start the day off with a personal affirmation, something like this: I am the Force within. What I am is eternal, immortal, universal, and infinite. What I am has beauty and strength. This day is my day, and all that I put to me is for my highest evolution and growth. Do this in the early morning of the day, and the Force increases. It acts as your protector as you step into the day. By recognizing the Force and not compromising your position, you enter a special energy that allows light to flow from within you to all the people that you deal with. This energy begins to be felt by others, and like a hippopotamus rising languorously from the hippopotamus dreams, an immense power stirs, and all sit up and take notice. When you have enough of the Force within you, you are ready to move out from your inner being. You can accept new associations and positions with confidence. And as you take total responsibility for yourself, people will feel the energy, and they will ask you to take total responsibility for their projects, and so on. You can never be unemployed, because most people shun responsibility as if it were an exotic disease. Once you have recognized that the Force is within you, and that you, not fate, God, or anything else, controls your life, you are ready for the next step, which is basically familiarizing yourself with your higher self and its flow of energy in your life, much like presenting yourself at some royal court. You have to learn the formalities and the characteristics of the energy pattern, what it responds to and best expresses in your life. This part of your training can be exhilarating, for daily life becomes a symbol of your progress, and you pass nothing without seeing its inner message. The dialogue manifests in a symbolic unfolding, and the tramp on the corner who spoke to you on the way to the station is no longer a tramp, but a symbol, a single word in a cosmic paragraph teaching you about yourself. As you learn to view the world as your teacher, you find that your higher self leads you gently back to yourself. It is said that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But you have to begin to move toward what it is you want, making use of what you have right now. Otherwise, ineptitude rivets your expectations to the floor. Everything around you is there to help you go to the next step, but there is no automatic graduation. You cannot mumble mystery words, cavort over a mystical symbol at midnight and say, "I am the initiate," and expect the force to respond. It will not. But by moving toward it and accepting responsibility for your life, you complete the next step. To understand the projections of the force, you have to understand the subconscious mind, which is like a large map on which are recorded the past events of your life. Your waking reality is but a torchlight shining on one small section of that map. You can see just the events around you. The rest of the map is still there, but to you it lies in darkness. So it is behind your conscious perception. In a hypnotic trance, you could review everything you have ever done, every word you have ever spoken, every experience that you have been through. It is all there. You could recall how many footsteps it took to get to work today, or you could recall your first coherent words. Nothing is lost, for within the mind are stored billions upon billions of units of information, and these pieces of information or characteristics make up the inner you. This system of recording begins at birth. The mind programs and stores all of your thoughts and feelings, and it accepts whatever emotions, fears, and limitations it is taught. If a mother says to her child, "Put on your coat or you will catch your death of cold," well, the subconscious mind of the child accepts that as an authoritarian belief pattern. And the next time the child goes out without a coat, his or her mind brings forth that energy and says, "Lack of coat equals sickness," and he or she develops a cold. The type of negative program builds up, and for the first 13 years of life, children totally accept what their parents or guardians tell them. They accept their elders' beliefs, attitudes, values, and thought patterns. After their 13th year, they spiritually come of age and begin to experience and develop energy that has been created. What unfolds in their teen years is often very uncomfortable, as they try to bring their belief patterns into a coherent identity of self. The process of dealing with the mind, its negativities, its emotions, and attitudes is the key to spiritual growth. Each thought and feeling you have about yourself is expressed on an inner plane as energy, and that energy interacts with the universal law, creates the events and circumstances in your life. Do you have nothing but beauty and richness of life, or are there areas that you would like to improve? You can watch this energy by watching what is around you. By looking at your inner self, you grow, and in doing so, you expand the level of the force you express. As was said, the force is a totally positive energy. It cannot be part of negativity, for its evolution is beyond that. If you stand in an alley with a big stick in your hand, and you brain and rob the first unfortunate who happens along, the force is not a part of that act. The force is in the stick, in the blood, and in the wallet you stole, but it is not responsible for the event, nor does it experience the event as negativity. It has no emotion. It is just divine energy, an observer, not a participant. It evolves in a dimension of perception beyond the physical, and yes, it is part of it. The more you train your mind and feelings to emphasize the positive, the more you become like the Force, a divine observer, not connected emotionally with the frailties of human life. However, more is involved than just taking a positive attitude to life. You have to begin to look at where and whatever limitations lie in the inner you. For the Force is unlimited, and the less restricted you become, the more of the Force you will express. Every time you turn and face yourself and you look at your reactions and feelings, you basically clean away another small particle of debris that has accumulated. In the legend of the Holy Grail, this facing of one's inner uncertainties is symbolized by the slaying of the dragon. In overcoming limitations, you move closer to the next dimension, a dimension of unparalleled exhilaration, existing beyond day-to-day perceptions. In actuality, you begin to leave the earth plane. For even though your body might still be here, your inner energy is moving away from the physical. This creates an island of strength and beauty all around you. And from that island, you, as the quiet observer, look back at the world. You become the same as the Force in the stick the robber used in the alley, not reacting to the emotions of others, living your own reality, a world apart. But what about helping others, you might ask? If you go deep within yourself and clear out all the negativity there, you begin to raise your energy. And as you do so, you will help others, not because you have assisted them materially, but because you have raised your consciousness. This might sound obscure, but it is a cosmic fact that first you have to heal yourself. You have to find the Grail, the Holy Grail, before you will ever be much use to others. You can send them a bag of rice if you wish, but that will not increase by 1 iota their expression of the Force. To really help people, you have to show them how to increase their power. And if you have not completed your own journey, what will you show them? Confusion. Once you have raised your energy, people will be pulled to you automatically. You will not have to go out and say, "Come here, I'll heal you." People will come to you because those who are growing spiritually seek examples of the Force, which is moving faster than they are. For such examples enhance their own expression of beauty by causing their energy to move faster. As you develop, your perceptions become more acute. You experience extrasensory powers or clairvoyance or audience, or more likely clairsentience, a heightened state of feeling. And you find yourself in places and situations where you just know what is going to happen next. The power of perception is very strong. It may be tempting to impress others with your newfound prowess, and before you know it, you have set up your Madame Zura gypsy booth and are advising others. This is fine as long as you realize that psychic power can be a trap. Real metaphysical perception lies in the power of silence. The more you interact with the ordinary world, the more the world holds you in the physical. Beyond the psychic is another dimension, but many people, hooked by the glamour or kudos of having power, a little beyond the ordinary, never reach it. If you stay in the world of psychic perception too long, you will miss the boat metaphysically, and you will not reach the dimension of the Force, from which a demonstration of psychic ability is seen as nothing more important than a small child banging 2 bricks in a playpen. By developing silently, you hold a power to yourself, and the more you do so, the more doors open ahead of you. But you have to travel through silence, perhaps for many years, and you have to trust that there will be more up ahead. Many modern psychics accept a few fleeting impressions as the totality of their ability, and by constantly presenting their energy to others, they burn themselves out on an inner level, and they have no momentum to carry them across to the other planes. And eventually, this misuse is apt to become a manifest as a disease. Next time you visit a psychic or medium who has been involved in many years, look at his or her body before you decide if the life of a psychic reader is worth it. A high percentage of them are totally worn out. I mention this because people get trapped in the stupidities of the ego. As you move towards the force, you will find that the ego begins to die, and the subconscious moves over to allow the real you to control your life. Of course, the ego does not give up without a fight. When you consider that you have been putting energy into the subconscious for years, you will realize that it is going to take effort and discipline to stop doing so. There will be setbacks and dark nights of the soul when it seems that you will face the insurmountable, but that is just the energy of the subconscious mind rebelling and refusing to give up its dominant position. It will use every trick in the book because as you express more and more of the force, your mind will gradually lose its grip, and for a time, you might even feel like you are dying. That is why stories of initiates such as Lazarus involve dying and rising again. When these stories were written, there were no words to describe psychological, metaphysical, inner events. Therefore, the writers said that Lazarus died and came back to life through his contact with the metaphysical understanding, which in his case was represented by the Nazarene. Similarly, the initiates of the Great Pyramid were placed in a sarcophagus or tomb, and there they would symbolically die. Using herbs and various mind control techniques, the high priest would assist the student in experiencing an inner vision of dimensions beyond the earth plane. In order for this to happen successfully, the student had to enter a catatonic trance, centering his subconscious mind enough to perceive beyond the physical. The writers of that time, not totally comprehending what was going on, wrote to the limits of their understanding. And so you will find that the story of the initiate entering the tomb or the sarcophagus, dying and rising again after 3 days, pervades many religions and cults. Some, such as Egyptian mysteries and the cult of Mithra, were common knowledge before the time of the Nazarene. Jewish writers knew of the mysteries of the Great Pyramid because the Jewish tribes had spent many, many years in Egypt, and the cult of Mithra was the religion of the Roman occupiers of the Holy Land. And so you will find the stories of the Nazarene follow closely the stories of Mithra and the ancient Egyptian traditions. At the end of the 3-day period, the student understood his true cosmic reality, and it was said he came back to life to return to the world as an initiate, pledged to vow secrecy. In effect, as the negativity of his mind loses predominance over your day-to-day affairs, what you think you are dies, and gradually the real you comes to life. As the energy of your highest self begins to establish a stronger pattern, you literally become the initiate. But the process is gradual, a tussle between inner objectives. To win this battle is your prime spiritual objective. By centering and disciplining your subconscious mind, you allow the energy of the force to flow. At first, you will feel that the force is not there, for its power expressed through your higher self is not a power you will be ever able to touch or taste or hear or see. You may have a fleeting impression of it being with you, and you will see it's working in your life, but you will not be able to experience it directly. It comes round the subconscious mind like a wind. You will know that something is happening, but you will not be sure what. As you gradually raise your energy, you will know it's there because of an exhilaration of self, but you will never have concrete proof. You will just notice if it leaves or drops. Once established, this constant flow from the higher self becomes addictive. In fact, you will become frightened at not being a part of it, for you will find yourself abandoned in the world with all of its uncertainties and fears. By keeping your energy, however, allowing nothing to impinge upon your expression of life, and knowing and working with the power daily, you actually build around you an invisible energy curtain. This power is moving faster than the energy you meet in daily life, and so negativity projected to you bounces right off you, and you have a shield of total power. This expression of positive power goes out ahead of you. As you walk up to it in your day, all is balanced and in flow, and you are immediately aware of any pitfalls. For there are no accidents in life, no innocent victims, and through a balance of or a lack of balance, you control every event in your life. The man in the alley who was struck by a stick is involved deeply on an inner level because his energy, his imbalance, his thought forms brought him to where he found himself in that alley being wronged. If he'd had more of the force within him, he would have turned left, not right, and we would find him a half mile away in a shop eating a cake, and the energy pattern of the robbery would be a part of another person's growth and evolution. But what if the man in the alley had been delayed? What if within the power of the force there are no what ifs? It is you, only you, who creates every moment of your life. Whatever you experience is of your own making. If you want to make progress spiritually, you have to accept that fact. You are living in a dangerous world. At any minute, you may be plucked out. You have a responsibility to maintain balance in your thoughts, in your emotions and feelings, and in your physical body. If you do not, you will find your energy in an energetic pattern that is out of control. It may manifest as something small, like an argument at work, or as something more threatening. Some loony jumps the traffic light in front of you and pins your car to the side of the bus station, and your energy departs for the spirit world. People say, "Oh, poor Harry, such an unfortunate accident. It must have been the will of God." But it is not the will of God, and you should not give the force a bad name because it is not involved. It is Harry's energy, what he felt about his life, his lack of power, the argument he had with his wife just before he left, the 2 whiskeys too many the night before, and the lack of respect for his body, the energy he built over the years, the way he expressed that energy in life. All these things led him to the traffic light at the particular moment to express a growth pattern. When Harry gets back to his higher self, he will understand how his life was his responsibility. He will see it. He will see it all, not in pain and anguish, but as a learning experience. From within the higher self, all is alkaline and positive, and there is no sin. There is nothing you can do that can be regarded metaphysically as sinful. There is high energy that expresses the force, and there is less high energy, but that is all. Whatever you create, you experience. Its effects will be around you when you die, as they are while you are alive. And your life is a matter of learning to deal with that. A person who violates the rights of others, infringes on their freedoms, and creates an energy of restriction around him, that in turn pulls to him others who will violate his rights. It is not a crime and punishment in the sense of retribution for sin. It is more energy in motion. It's consequence, if you like. Sin is a creation of the subconscious mind. It is a moral code based on various tribal customs, and the contravention of that code is regarded by tribal members as sinful. However, what is sinful to you is not sinful to somebody else. In Africa, high on the plains of the Serengeti, there's a small tribal village that has been there many years. And every morning, the men of the village rise and walk casually to the end of the village, where they urinate against a particular tree. God knows what it does for the tree. This is acceptable behavior, and the women of the tribe do not react to it. Now take a few friends to the local bus stop tomorrow around 8 o'clock in the morning and do the same thing. Then write to me from prison and let me know how your villagers reacted. Sins are creations of the mind in a shifting sea of customs and rules and traditions. The laws of the force are beyond emotion, because the force is just energy. It does not make judgments about your performance. It is perfect love, neutral. It has certain symmetrical patterns that seem to unfold according to whatever energy you put in it. But these patterns do not stand in judgment against you. They just unfold according to the level of balance you maintain. So, it is in the physical evolution that you practice understanding the force, learning to work with balance and control in conditions suited to you until such time as you are ready to leave for higher ground. When that happens, you are joined by the guiding energy that will help you evolve more quickly. That guiding power is with you right now as you read, as you listen to this book, ensuring that you have what you need for your growth. Let us review. To understand the force, you have to acknowledge its existence. Then, you have to recognize that since it is in all things and in you, you have the power to control all things. By controlling your mind, you can perceive all things. Discipline sets you free to project the force to your own ends, and those ends will lead you gradually into evolutions beyond where you are now, and that is what is important. This concludes this episode of Manifesting the Miraculous, and I will absolutely be reading and sharing more of Stuart Wilde's work with you in future episodes. I thank you so much for being here and being able to receive this information and this knowledge and this wisdom at this time where we are on informational overload. And if we can take some time in our week to just sit and listen to some high frequency meditations and audiobooks, it's really, really important for us in our evolution. If you like this podcast and you like my work, please consider donating or look at the links below. And my music is available everywhere at aureliuslight.com. Enjoy my mailing list. And for courses and digital products and my new shop at Aurelius Light. So I will see you soon. Much love.